Last year, I had a whole series worth of videos that was called The Nothing Reasons She Left, because so many times men are acting like women are just leaving out of nowhere. So, in this 2X chromosome subreddit, she says, I often hear women accused of divorcing men over nothing. So, ladies, what is the nothing you divorced him over? So, she asked this question in the 2X chromosome subreddit, and she got a lot of answers. And this works perfectly for the series that I did last year. And I haven't posted in months, so I might as well add to this playlist. So, Petty Lover says, I'm not divorced, but I'll put my mom's answer. He was 28 and got his 17-year-old employee pregnant, married her, and they had another kid before she was even 20. After she gave birth, he refused to help with the kids outside of playtime, refused to help with the house, refused to do anything that he considered wifely duties. He yelled at her for getting fat while she was pregnant, used a lot of intimidation to get her to comply. I don't even know if he actually hit her, but believe me, the intimidation was scary enough. He also did it to my sister and I. Among many other things, then the last straw was when my aunt, whose husband was away dealing with his father's death at the time and wouldn't be able to get back home for at least 24 hours, had to take her 6-month-old son in for emergency surgery, and my dad refused to let my mom go to the hospital with her because it was his brother's birthday and it would look bad if she left in the middle of it since they were fighting earlier. He still maintains that the only thing he did wrong was call her fat. He says he now understands that a woman's body goes through changes when she's pregnant that she cannot control, but he still believes she should have been doing more to get back in shape afterwards. Note, she was pregnant basically the entire time they were married. She divorced him when my sister turned 2 months old, about a month after my first birthday. He also regularly tells me that I was manipulated by my mom into thinking he was the worst parent ever. I'm 33, by the way, but my mom didn't tell me about any of this until I was 17. And she only told me then because she wanted to warn me about older men and tell me what to look out for. That's a pretty big nothing. And I'm glad that young lady at the time got away from that person with instead of sticking it out for decades upon decades of that type of verbal and mental abuse. Helena says, far out, good on your mom for getting out. MV2 says, I think intimidation equals terrorizing. It's just as traumatizing as physical abuse. Miss Morgie Bear says, there was so much intimidation by my father. I think it's just as traumatizing. Plus, I can't point to any specific physical incidents, so it feels like I'm making a mountain out of a molehill, which also happened to be one of his favorite phrases to tell me that my emotional responses were invalid. That stupid adage, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is 1,000,000% wrong. MV2 says, just in case you're not 100% sure, you're absolutely not making a mountain out of a molehill. In fact, anybody who tries to downplay and minimize it is trying to make a molehill out of a mountain. Kitchen Victory says he cheated multiple times, including while I was on bed rest during a high risk pregnancy. Refused to do any household chores because he was a lazy, entitled jerk. For the first year out of our kid's life, he did to help care for our kid, clean, anything, unless I had a complete meltdown and begged, cried, screamed to get his attention. He spent all of his time gaming and chatting with women online. Oh, classic moment was when he blew our bill money on online gambling and our electricity was cut, and he lied about what happened. I eventually found our bank statement and saw the charges, and he claimed they must have been fraud. Yeah, okay. Final straw was him getting written up for an inappropriate relationship at work. He ran whining to his mommy, who tried to convince me I needed to stay with him. I'm like, ma'am, I didn't sign up for a serial cheater. Thank you for doing such a poor job of raising your son. And then he had the nerve to be shocked by how quickly I moved on, even though he spent literal years burning away every bit of love I had for him by lying to be blowing what little money we had on online gambling, expecting me to serve as his replacement mother, giving me no support, treating me like while I was pregnant and ill and needed care, refusing to do the bare minimum to care for his child, and expecting me to put up with whatever BS he decided was appropriate so he could enjoy the attention of other women while having a monogamous marriage as a safety net. Nothing at all. That's quite a lot of nothing in that post. That's a lot of nothing. And the thing is, women today, we have options, and women are not, they don't have a whole lot of tolerance for all of this. I'm seeing a lot of women that are cutting and running quicker and not putting up with decades upon decades of BS simply because we don't have the choices. We have the financial security and the options to be able to move on and still be able to survive. CCC says, I hope he was a better father after the divorce, but I'm fearing the worst. Hogo 2012 says, damn, bank accounts don't lie. My ex-husband tried to buy me flowers once because of how effed up, because he effed up, except he stole money from our child's bank account to pay for them. So disgusting. Nightwing says, constantly nagged me for sex and said that the Quran said that women were cursed for denying their husbands, but never followed any of the other teachings. He never tried to make me enjoy it or want it with him. He wouldn't support me to help my mother, who was dying of cancer at the time. Also said it was affecting his mental health, that I was sad all the time after she died, but I was the one with the problem. Wow. Yeah, I don't like it when religious people pick and choose which pieces fit their narrative that they want to follow out of religious texts. Fluffy Gumdrop says, imagine if we nagged men to have sex all the time that was fully about our pleasure while ignoring theirs, and they almost never were satisfied. Slippy as Dead says, they believe women don't need or desire it. We only gatekeep it. So our pleasure shouldn't matter. Bad Knees says, raging anger problem, which often resulted in awful arguments where I couldn't diffuse it in any way at all. If I tried to lighten the mood, I was laughing at him. If I tried to call a timeout, he would follow me around the house screaming at me. He would twist my words and yell, you said XX at me until I had no idea what I'd said, even though what he was saying made no sense. He lied about money. He won more bottles of wine in raffles than is believable. He bought himself an expensive drone and hid the receipt. He bought comics and cameras and bikes while letting me pay for holidays and repairs. When his car died, he had mine and I bought a new one. Never paid me for anything. He lied about having a daughter, didn't tell me until after we were married. He'd never met her, was apparently cut off, but that was likely Bullock's too. He threatened to self-delete if I left him. He threw a glass at me that exploded around my feet and then got angry at me for being upset because he didn't throw it at me. He just threw it in anger. What? He ruined holidays with his temper. If I ever disagreed with him, if he shouted at my daughter for nothing and I intervened, he screamed at me for not treating him as an equal parent. But yeah, women divorce men for nothing, right? He quickly found another woman. I hope she's okay. Yes, those are several nothing reasons to leave, and I'm glad that she was able to get out and get her daughter away from that person. Jin says, I feel this one. Wasn't married, thank Jesus, but I live with him. The gaslighting was on another level. I was expected to keep our place spotless, but wasn't allowed to clean while he was home. I was the only one working at the time. I'm going to leave my story there because I'm in a good space now. Good for you for getting out of there. Hugs. Yes, good for all of these women for finding the nerve to leave. And I hope that you're in a good space too, especially before you get into a relationship where you can move in or out of relationships regardless of marital status, and you have the finances and the career experiences to be able to bounce back. Jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Do you have any nothing reasons you want to share? Go ahead and drop them in the comments. So my friend that sent me this Reddit thread said that she thinks that this woman is the wife to a PeePeeBro. So this is another post from the 2X chromosomes subreddit. She says, I messed up. I shouldn't have married, and now I'm pregnant. So she's 35, he's 36. She said, I married my husband 2 years back after knowing him for 3 years. In February this year, I got pregnant. The thing is, I'm realizing now it was a huge mistake to marry this guy. He had always been laid back and lazy, but now due to pregnancy, I can hardly keep up with the chores as my health is fluctuating and feel exhausted with my own job, but he still won't step up. I've tried to talk to him so many times. His parents did, my parents did. He agrees he needs to do better, but after a couple of days, he assumes I will pick up the slack and stops. He can also be verbally abusive when angry, and today we got into a huge fight. I told him I'm at my wits' end, and if things go like this, I will be forced to move out. He started calling me names and used some very hurtful words. I am ashamed to say that I was holding a bottle and by reflex threw some water on him. Just couldn't hold my anger. I don't want to bring my child into this situation. I'm so scared, tired, and feel vulnerable as I am in a foreign country with no family. Going home to my home country is not medically advised as it is a long flight. I feel stuck and helpless. I guess I am just venting. So, ladies, I know I have some people that are international ladies that watch. Coming here and being isolated from your family is such a tough thing to do. And it can be such a risk, especially when these people like will turn on you. They literally have a switch that once they have you isolated, once you don't have the options to just up and leave, this is how they act. This is one of the reasons why they try to get young girls like straight out of high school before they are established in their education or career. This is why they try to use religion to manipulate into subservience. This is the reason why they go over to these foreign countries and bring the women back where they don't have the support system, the finances, or anything to just be able to just up and leave. This is a terrible situation for this woman. So I'm not really sure what she will be able to do. But like some of the people said, if as long as, you know, her doctor doesn't push back against it or say no to it, she should be able to get on a flight. She said that she's working. So if she is working, that means she must have some money. And getting on a flight and going back to her family will be so much more better than trying to navigate this person with a child and being a single mother in a foreign country. I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know where she is, but that would be so much better than being in a foreign country alone with no support system. All right, let's check out some of these comments. Okay, some of the comments. Centopar says, flying is fine. I was taking transatlantic flights for work up until week 33. Exposing yourself and your kid to abuse, not so fine. Finn Knit says, yes, flying while pregnant is not a huge risk to your health. Some airlines have a policy of not allowing pregnant passengers to fly when their pregnancy has reached a certain number of weeks because of the possibility of the passenger going into labor or giving birth on the flight. But other than that, it's fine to fly while pregnant. Pumpkin Pie is great, is talking about chores and being hazardous and mold growing. So I'm not sure that this is the right thread for this. Possible Way says she has fluctuating health at the moment. I was not allowed to fly at all during the pregnancy. But what is her fluctuating health issue? Is it mostly because she's overworked, she's having issues, she's stressed, or is it something that really will keep her off of a flight? She needs to speak to her OBGYN and talk to her about this situation and see if it's better to remain here in this type of stress or to take that flight and, spend those hours on the flight and then be with a supportive family structure. She has to weigh those options. So Baron Hilda says you need to fly home as soon as possible before the baby is born and you're trapped and can't leave. And Zazie Zoe says, right. She is from Asia and currently living in the US. Not that I'm a lawyer or anything, but once the kid is born on US soil and as an American, the court system will be in the husband's favor. She will have to stay probably in the US if she wants joint custody, versus if she gives birth in Asia and she has the advantage. It's like when Sophie Turner was divorcing Joe. She was trying to make the courts in London, I think, deal with the divorce and not the American courts. The kids were born in the US. Yes, it sounds like this woman needs to get these legalities worked out ASAP, like stat, like yesterday. Handle that, get that flight booked, and, just really hope that nothing goes wrong during that flight. But regardless, it would be terrible to stay here and have to deal with things. All right, jump in the comments. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So we have another post from the 2X chromosome subreddit. This was from a couple of days ago. So she's 30, he's 31. She says, my husband just took his buddies to our couple's getaway when I refused to come because he called me ungrateful for pointing out how unfair the expectation of mental load is on women. She says, my husband and I have been married for 2 years. At first, me carrying the mental load was a problem. He literally couldn't see it. For context, for those who are unfamiliar with the term mental load or worry work, involves overseeing tasks rather than doing them. It means managing a constant to do list, delegating tasks to family members, and ensuring they get done. Basically, emotional labor done by women that husbands don't see because they're always in the let me know if you need my help mode, the invisible labor that women have to do. She says, I was tired of constantly having to be the project manager of the house. And even if I freed myself of it, the household would fall apart. It was not a walk in the park to try to get through to him. But after many, many conversations, including facilitation with a couples counselor to really get the message across. This was a struggle for a while, and right now we are at a place where things are good, relatively speaking, of course. We both share the mental load now, but if it weren't for my intervention, we wouldn't have been able to reach a place where I felt we are equals. However, I do recognize that some women aren't even able to verbalize it, and it's disappointing that women have to fix these issues and the underlying expectation that wives are supposed to deal with the daily drudgery while men get to go out and explore the world. Sorry about the rant. Anyway, a week ago, my younger cousin sister, who recently moved in with her boyfriend, said something to me that suggested she was facing some of the same problems that I did, but didn't know the correct term mental load for it. Anyway, I shared my perspective and knowledge with her, and hopefully she'll be able to talk to her boyfriend soon about it. Just 2 nights ago, I was talking to my husband during dinner, and I said, I find it extremely frustrating and ironic that even here, women have to take the mental load of initiating and navigating the conversation about mental load, and that itself isn't easy. It wasn't an attack on him, and frankly, I thought he would be able to empathize since we've been in therapy before. I just said I feel tired even thinking about what my cousin would have to plan, organize, and say to convey her thoughts. My husband got really irate instantly and said I was being an ungrateful person for feeling like talking about mental load is itself a mental load. Then said that if women fare better at some things, men fare better in quietly working hard without announcing it all that they do. I said that was completely uncalled for, and that by relating my struggles about mental load with my cousin, I wasn't doing anything wrong. Eventually, this caused an argument. Now, I do see and recognize that he might not have been the right person to talk to about this. Maybe if I shared my issues with my mom or sister, it would have made more sense. But I genuinely thought that my husband is my partner and I shouldn't have to worry about my words being taken in bad faith. I was really upset about our argument and being called ungrateful. So I told him I'm not interested in going on our weekend getaway we had planned some time ago. This wasn't to punish him by withdrawing intimacy. I genuinely didn't think I wanted to be near my husband after what he assumed about me. He said I was being manipulative and took his buddies to the B&B we booked and had fun there. Here I am feeling upset about how indifferent my husband seems. I honestly feel so abandoned that my husband didn't even bother to check on me. I've texted him so many times and called maybe 100 times, but it seems he doesn't care. If this is how these two are fighting after going through therapy together, I don't see how this would be productive on down the line, especially after having children. They don't mention children. I'm sorry, she doesn't mention children in this post. So I'm going to assume that they don't have them, because if they did, she would have said so in this post. He's being passive aggressive by just ignoring her, and she's being over the top by texting and calling a person that is uninterested in speaking to her. She is coming across as desperate, and he is withdrawing even more because now he has a power play that she really, really wants to talk to him. So he's just going to keep holding that back even more. That is his leverage. I don't see that this is going to be a fruitful relationship going forward. It just doesn't seem productive or supportive or loving at all. But you guys can go ahead and weigh in with your thoughts about this. She's not wrong about mental load. We do carry a lot, and it is productive, or it should be something that we should be able to talk about. But some people are not open to hearing these types of things without feeling like it's an attack or anything. This person says, don't have kids with this man. My last adventure says, given that domestic workload goes up by at least 10,000% with just one kid, this is the wisest comment I've read today. Sappho's Lemon Bar Envoy says, lighten the workload by serving him with divorce papers when he comes back. Nobody needs to put up with weaponized relationship labor and avoidance tactics. That is a good word, avoidance tactics. Miss Chickpea says, I feel like if he said that men are better at doing things and staying quiet about it, he's eventually going to whine, but I did XYZ good things, and easily feel underappreciated if OP asked him to do something when they have kids. Yes, he's going to feel the need to really highlight it. Women's invisible labor is truly invisible, and just bringing it up seems to make people get defensive about it. And I don't really know what to say or do about that. It's just something that's kind of baked into the cake. But you guys go ahead and weigh in with your thoughts. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.